In this podcast, I'm going to talk about Charles too. He's an objectivist, and he does a podcast on YouTube. He's a firebrand. He's very pure. He doesn't compromise. He says what he thinks. He's blunt. He's critical. He's insightful. I like his videos. I think he's good. I don't agree with him about everything, but that's relatively minor. The major thing is I think he's good. He, however, does not like me. He won't speak to me. He's never spoken to me in his life. So that's interesting. What's going on there? So here's the history. I found out about his videos. I liked them. I wrote him an open letter. It was about mainly some things we have in common. You can read it on my blog. There will be a link in the description. Or you can go to my blog and on the left sidebar, scroll down a bit, click on list all posts, and then search for two, T-E-W, and you'll find 2 posts related to him. So I wrote him a letter. Specifically, he said, I seem to be critical of objectivists in a way no one else is willing to be. So I liked that, but I wanted to tell him that I also do that. So it's not no one else, I exist. So I linked him some of my criticisms of Alex Epstein, and I linked some criticisms of Leonard Peikoff and of Harry Binswanger, and I shared a few of my ideas, and I wrote him a letter. And I thought he would like it. I thought he would be happy to hear that there's someone else saying some of the same types of criticisms as he is. He did not reply. I wrote some other thoughts, and I contacted him several other times with short messages to, make sure that he got my message and that it wasn't just an accident that I didn't get a response. You say something short a week later or 2 weeks later in case he was busy at the time you wrote your first letter, etc. And you try different venues, like not just email. I tweeted him, I posted a YouTube comment or two. So he's definitely ignoring me. And so I found out why, I think, even though he wouldn't tell me. A friend of mine was listening to some of his older videos, and in one of them, he gets a listener question about some blog post, and it seems to be mine. And he doesn't name me, and he doesn't give the link to the blog post, and he doesn't give the title of the blog post, and he's so vague that I don't know which blog post it is. But I'm pretty sure that he's flaming the hell out of me. And it has to do with Popper. It has to do with me having some ideas in line with Karl Popper. And he misinterpreted what he read. He seems to have read a couple sentences and just had no idea what Popper's philosophy is and how it works, and taken out of context, and decided that I hate truth and reason and so on. Which is a common theme with objectivists, to hate Popper. So I will talk about the Popper issue in a different podcast. But for now, the point is, he didn't like one of my ideas, and there's no way to clear up any misunderstandings or correct the issue. I tried contacting him again when I found out what happened. And because I thought maybe we could address the issue head on now that I know what it is. I'd be happy to face it directly instead of talk about other things. But he wouldn't do that either. I also asked him to pronounce moral judgment of me. If he's not going to speak to me, at least he can name me and say his negative judgment of me. But he wouldn't do that either. The reason I asked for that specifically is because it's something Ayn Rand advocated. And it's something that I really appreciate that she wrote, and I liked it. And I have found objectivists won't do it. So sometimes I ask them to do it, and then they never do. And I think that's really sad. There's something really screwed up there. Her stuff about pronouncing moral judgment, it's her answer to how to live in an irrational society. You can read about it in The Virtue of Selfishness. So despite all that, I still have a somewhat positive opinion of Charles too. He still makes good videos. He's open to questions, criticism, and feedback from other people. He's not one of those intellectuals who just won't talk to anyone and just does his own thing, which I think is bad. You should be willing to listen to criticism. And consider some other people's ideas too. That's useful. That helps you do better work. So he does do that in general, just not with me and not with Popperians. He criticizes the Ayn Rand Institute and orthodox objectivism, you could call it. I don't think it's orthodox. I think that's one of the main problems with it, so it's not a great term. You could call it Leonard Peikoff objectivism. So I agree with him about that. I think it's important. I'm glad he exists and he's doing that. And I think it's sad that he's not willing to speak with me and that there's just no way to clear up the disagreement or even clarify it, because I think it's a misunderstanding and that the things he doesn't like are positions I do not hold. So that seems like something that should be able to get cleared up. But he won't do it. So if you want to know more, look at the links to my 2 blog posts with stuff I said to and about him.